What is up, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? Today's episode is nothing too crazy. We are just going to be going over some of the stuff I've been working on inside, like the wiring and how we routed all of the fuse and relay panels and the relays for like our starter and everything. We'll go over kind of the stuff I'm working on in here. I'm doing some shifter work, whatever. We also did some stuff in the engine bay. You can see there's like a radiator in there and some hoses and all that jazz. And we did some more work on the dash. So why don't we start right here with the dash? So in our previous videos, I think we have two of them, you saw where we stripped the upper cover away from the lower shell and then went ahead and removed the vinyl and foam padding that was here on the dash frame before. The upper dash cover we stripped all the way back to just the metal frame and then covered it with a 3mm suede material. Came out pretty good. However, there was some things that I didn't really like about how thin certain areas were, especially like around here. It left like a really noticeable gap from where the old foam kind of stuck out. So it was a miscalculation on my part. What I would recommend is either getting a 3mm foam sheet to lay down first to glue down, and then put your 3mm foam backed fabric over that. If you're going to do it kind of like this, or you can do what I did, which was I basically recovered the material that was here after trimming some excess around the backside so when we fold it over it'd be good. I recovered it again with a spare piece of this 3mm suede that I had laying around. So technically this is 6mm thick. It is 6mm foam back, basically, but that's why I would recommend it. It's much plusher. I mean, you can push this down, it feels amazing, fills all the gaps very well in here, so highly recommend doing that. I mean, this thing is much better than it was before. I mean, it's so soft now, like, feels great. So I went ahead and cleaned up the lower shell of the dash recently. Turns out at one point it was white, which I'm sure looked pretty cool, but sanded it all down, pre-drilled a few holes. We have a hole right here for our switch for our underglow, and then down here will actually be a little indicator light to let us know it's on, so we can go ahead and like leave it on if we're somewhere, shows, that kind of stuff. Or I'm thinking about making this the main power to our auxiliary fuse panel, so this way we have to flick this switch for any of the other switches to work on that panel down there. But we'll kind of see when we get to that. Still a lot of little odds and ends to figure out, but I pre-drilled these for a switch that I have. Down there we have a hole for a light if we need it. We can just leave it, put a plug in it, whatever. But sprayed the base of the dash satin black. Came out really well. I did put 2 coats of satin clear over it just to help protect it against cleaners. Some can be kind of abrasive and actually like pull spray paint off of plastic. So definitely recommend doing that if that is what you are doing. So that's the dash for you guys. I think it turned out pretty good. This is my very first time completely redoing the top of a dash pad with no existing material or foam there, so pretty happy with how it all came out. We even sprayed in here nice and black so it all cleans up, and then I did fix that damage that was here with the melted wires from the previous setup, so that's all cleaned up now. Turned out pretty good. So let's go to the engine bay now. So down in here we have done a few little things. So I am just test fitting, mocking up the radiator right now. I have the hoses just mocked up. We need couple clamps on everything in here, but for the most part, we're pretty set up. We did get the headers are all done. I need to pull them off so I can go ahead and put the gasket on and then put the new studs in, but that'll be pretty easy. V-band down there to the mid-pipe. Mid-pipe runs out to the back. You know what, let me get under there and show you guys actually. So I'm not sure how much of this you guys are gonna be able to really see, but got this, runs back. We got a resonator back there. Runs back. Comes out like that, and then we have the start of our bed exit exhaust right there in the back. And I had a scrap piece that I'm kind of playing with to have this kind of come out and then kick out this way, but we'll kind of see how it turns out. So back in the engine bay, this is a main power wire that we have to route. It's actually going to go from our starter right here to this distribution block, and that distribution block is there for our fusible links. So those will be easily accessible right here if we have any issues with them. This will be our power wire that's going to run down to our starter, and then our starter will have a power wire that will run directly back to our battery. Did also go ahead and put our belt on. We have our radiator cap here, not a big deal. It's got a new thermostat in there. We have our air filter in there. I got to clean this out. I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to use this again, but just for the initial startup and driving around for now, I think we are going to do that. I think at some point what we're going to do is actually get rid of this entirely, and we're going to go ahead and do some kind of coupler intake right here that'll run down over here and kind of sit in that fender tub. Underneath our intake here, we have a couple things that we've gotten done. So we have our harness all buttoned up under here. I did go ahead and heat shield this one that runs up to our TPS. Just want to make sure that was good. We are going to be getting rid of these fuel lines when we run our new fuel lines from our fuel cell. So these are just here temporarily, but we're just going to do a nice clean cut right up through here. Not even going to be able to see them. Might even anchor them down there on that lug that's there. So we did get all of our brake lines made. They're all done. Everything is nice and buttoned up where it's going to be for now. I did a nut and bolt check. I'm going to go through one more time, and then I'm going to mark all the hardware as we check it. It's really important, you know, when you do this kind of stuff, to make sure that everything you touched is actually tight and good to go. Kind of helps later on, you know, if you have any issues after startup. Let's move inside the truck now. So inside of here, we have all of the harness ran. It runs back here behind the HVAC assembly, and then down there, if you can see it, that is the fuse and relay panel. Turns out there's actually two threaded holes that are perfect distance apart right there in the footwell, bolted right up with factory hardware. It was great. We're gonna put our main starter relay right here. We're gonna bolt that up. Hopefully it will clear the blower motor. If it doesn't, we can just move it down a little bit. It'll be totally fine. I'll give you a better shot. So right here, that is the fuse box relay panel that used to be inside of there. And then if you look up under here, we have all of our connectors back there. They run through the firewall. Just have a bunch of stuff under here. You can see there's lots of room for activities. So everything's nice and secured on the firewall. We shouldn't have any issues at all with anything like rubbing. And then if you ever need to get in there, it's just as easy as reaching up. And you can unplug just about everything, still run it through. If you do need to loosen up the harnesses that run to the engine bay, the upper retainer is just a bendable tab with a rubber sheathing to protect it. That's bolted to the firewall, and then a zip tie runs around that. You just snip the zip tie, bend the tab down. You can pull the harness down. Same thing on the bottom. If you're gonna make it really easy, if you ever need to pull anything through, you don't have to worry about it. Put it back there, should be just as easy, hopefully with the dash in, but we will see as we get more things assembled. I'm also working on some shift knob stuff in here, so, or I guess shift arm, shift lever, shifter. So this goes here like this normally, cut it off, it's just rubber. You want to keep it, makes a cool little bat, so hit somebody with it. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting this on here like this, and then we have our adapter right here so we can adjust for height. We can just kind of pick where we want it to be at and we'll be good to go. So the way we're going to adapt this to here is we have one of two options. We can either weld on a little extension with some threads. We could even tap this if we wanted to. However, it's not big enough, obviously, to be threaded into here. So we'd have to weld something on, or you can do what I did. I actually bought something that's similar to this lower portion here, and it has a threaded portion at the top. And basically what it does is it goes onto here and it uses 2 bolts and it clamps down onto the shift rod, and that's what we're going to use to adapt this to this. But we'll go into detail more as we kind of do that stuff. You can see that we have the harness all secured through here. It's all tied up, got our ECU bolted in. We have our sub harness for the back right here that we still have to run en route, but we are moving right along. It's been mostly busy work. I have been organizing all the other parts and everything, so right now I'm in the process of getting all of the dash frame, all the little metal brackets and stuff prepped for paint. So once those get sprayed, we can get them bolted in here, see where everything's going to land, maybe test fit our dash just to make sure we're all good with all of our connections and everything. And then I am also going through all of the plastic pieces that we have. We have 2 trucks worth of plastic interiors. We're going to go through, pick the best parts for the truck. We're going to get those painted so that when we get everything assembled in here and we spray the truck, we can just get everything assembled on the interior in one shot. We're also going to be test fitting the seats soon, so that'll be fun. So with that being said, guys, that is the update on the purple king cab. I think we are going to name it Purple Stuff. I think that is its name 100%. I love how it sticks. I think that's it. So when we get back to working on Purple Stuff, we are going to be hanging the doors. I do believe that is the next step. So we need to drill out the old door pins and the old retainer bushings for the door pins, put our new ones in. I'll make it a video so you guys can kind of see how we're doing it. I'll even probably have a mini truck minute on it. But definitely worth doing if your hard body doors sag. Replace the pins. Hopefully yours aren't as rough as mine are. We are going to be testing all of the electrical on this and doing a first initial startup once I get the fuel cell in here. So really the next video is probably going to be when the bed is in here, because we're going to bring the bed back over. We have our clinched wide body rear flares on the way. They should be here by Thursday. So I'm hoping this weekend we can go ahead and get the bed on, get the flares mocked up so we can see where they're going to land. That will also allow us to figure out where we're going to put our fuel cell and figure out the length for our lines we need. We'll get our AN lines made, we'll get them routed, we'll get the brake line routed underneath. Everything will be secured, and then we'll be able to fire it up. So, like I said, pretty sure that's what the next video will be: bed testing, fender flare stuff, fuel line, fuel system stuff. And then the video after that will probably be the first startup of the truck, which will be very, very exciting. And then the video after that will be the door hinge stuff. I don't know. The schedule's all over the place. We will see. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you guys so much. And until the next one, a peace.